And there are even such approaches today that say that instead of saying, I feel lonely, what does a little child feel? I'm bored. What does that mean? That I'm alone, that I'm lonely. So, before I ask the question, I would like to define loneliness. So we're talking about a subjective feeling that's expressed in incorrect social relations or as a result of the lack of sufficient social relations. We're talking about an emotional state where a person feels that he doesn't belong. Usually people that feel lonely feel a great yearning to connect with other people. And another definition is the gap between a person's desire for a social relationship and the way things actually are. A person can feel lonely even if seemingly he or she are surrounded by people. And I'd like to open with the question, in your opinion, what causes a person to feel lonely? What is the cause of loneliness? First of all, I agree with you. This is your profession. You probably feel this phenomenon on many of your patients. So yes, the feeling of loneliness, it started surfacing in the middle of the previous century because humanity started becoming rounder, meaning we finished our egoistic linear development of thousands of years somewhere in the middle of the 20th century. Meaning we developed and developed, and as a result of our development, the world became more round, meaning it became integral, global, a small village where everyone's interdependent. It didn't happen all at once, but it gradually started happening between big societies, banks, and international trade. And we also see that the development itself supports it. Where did you see something like this 50 years ago? That people simply used to fly in a plane from place to place. If you had to do it because of work or something, otherwise you take a train or a car, sometimes even a cart. Today you fly and that's it. In 2 weeks I'm flying to South and North America, and 2 weeks later I'm coming back after I've been to 5 countries. So what are we talking about here? Is there room for loneliness? On the contrary, all of us are everywhere. Tourism is the number one business in the world. And man is lonely. Maybe subconsciously we think that we'll get as a result more impressions, we'll fill some inner deficiency, some doldrums, but it doesn't happen. As much as I know tourists, and I meet many tourists all over the world, I see that they're isolating themselves. You go to some country in order to isolate yourself. It's as if you're going to see the world, learn about the world, and sometimes you're even with a group of tourists, but you're alone, really alone, and even greater sense of loneliness than at home. And here we have to understand that this collision, this paradox, where the world on the one hand externally is becoming more interconnected and more lonely internally. And so are people too. We depend on each other in terms of work, business, culture. There are things that are worthwhile for us to do, but actually on the inside, we're in a state where it doesn't fill me. I personally don't need it, and I don't want it. Because the ego is growing inside the person individually, and the world around us is globally closing in. And then you have two completely different directions, where on the one hand the world is becoming one and interconnected, and on the other hand people that don't want to be connected. On the contrary, their ego is growing personally, individually, and individualistically. And therefore we see these phenomena. We see how much a person doesn't want to accept this world, and how much the world, if this is something that we can identify, doesn't accept man. What do you mean? That we don't fit the framework that nature is giving us. A framework in which we should all be connected in a good, nice way. Meaning we see that the world is willing to provide us with everything. No problem. Food, clothes, medicine, accommodation, everything that we need. But we don't want to be connected like the world is. It wasn't this way in the past. In the past, everyone lived in one room, the entire family. Or a few families in one house, like my mother. Of course, the young couple lived at their parents' house. Today, everyone needs a room of their own. Literally. And every child needs a room of their own, and so on. This is something that we see, and we also see it according to the technological development that supports it, because they go by the user. And they understand that today, the users, they're individual users. Everyone has to have their own mobile, their own email, their own everything. It was never this way before. And therefore, the ego that develops inside a person in this secrete manner forces us to think about what are we going to do. Because our will to receive demands to be fulfilled, and no one can fulfill himself. Like we're trying to do these days, but it doesn't work. We don't want to connect with one another. We can't, more correctly put, we can't connect with each other on the one hand. On the other hand, we somehow understand from research that unless we'll be interconnected, we'll remain empty, flawed, and we won't be able to enjoy life without a family, without kids, without friends, without something that's a bit more than simply going out to some pub or coffee shop. That there too I'm actually alone. So what follows is that, like you said, everyone feels the loneliness, but how to get out of it, no one knows. And here we have to build a new, strong, big educational system with professionals that understand the root of the problem and its solution. Otherwise, humanity will first of all see that people don't want to get married, don't want to have children, use drugs. Everyone's taking some kind of sedative, antidepressants. There are outbursts in the form of terror and so on. because people don't see a satisfying future. Because one way or another, in the past, people were social. They lived in society. A person used to feel society. He was socially connected to many people. Today, we've developed to a state where our ego doesn't want it. It became very individualistic. And because we have now the ability to build different gadgets, then we as if give a person everything that he needs in order for him to be alone in front of his screen. Mobile, television, computer, but that's how it is. And this is really also what people want. They're attracted to it. Yeah, but the problem is that after all of these ways of life, a person remains lonely, unsatisfied, feeling miserable, that he has to fulfill himself, to add something to all of those games and gadgets that he's built for himself, that he nonetheless has to add something to it. The inner emptiness remains. And again, to run away on some journey or go someplace, but to come back and be alone again, something's missing, a sort of fulfillment that man cannot attain.